Right. The first year we had one graduate was Ella Lindsay. Plus my brother Garland graduated. We had to joke that my brother Garland was the only boy that graduated from the Kohala Girls School. And then he was just, living there. And then the second year was Juliet Lindsay and Annie Acow. The third year was Wanda Stevens and Leilana Lee. And then we had quite a few graduates in the class of 56. And the girls, in addition to going to Kohala High School, in a sense, got, I guess, homemaking training and religious education at the school. The girls did attend Kalahikiola Church, although a lot of our girls were of a diversity of religions, but that was where they went to. And a lot of church functions took place. We have a huge dining hall. It was a campus, 3-story dormitory, classroom building, a chapel, a huge dining hall, which the church used a lot for their big occasions as well. In 1955, the Kalahikiola Church celebrated its 100th anniversary, and we had a huge luau at the school, and other festive occasions where people from the community would go up there. I'm trying to think. The girls oftentimes did many different activities. My dad loved hiking, and he would often take them into the Ditch Trail, into Pololu Valley, into Honokani. Sometimes he would take the girls, he'd leave 8:30 in the morning and wouldn't get back till 8:30 at night because they would hike down into Pololu, up the other side, down into Honokani, all the way to the falls, then come back by way of the Ditch Trail. That's like a 15-mile hike.
Yeah, and not an easy one.
No, but they did it. and he liked to take in any time. We had conferences there every Easter break in 54, 55, and 56. High school students from all over the island, especially Hilo and Kona and Waimea, came up to Kohala for 5 days to attend a conference. And they inevitably took hikes into Pololu. There was also, the last summer I was there in 55, there was a junior high youth conference in August for 5 days. And kids came from all over the island to stay in the dormitory and then had various activities. We'd hike up towards Bonds Woods. We had to hike out into Pololu and things.
And you're living where now?
I live in Joliet, Illinois.
Really? I used to go there. I had actually a store over there.
I teach at University of St. Francis. I'm a musician. But I did come back to Hawaii in the 60s to attend University of Hawaii. At that time, my father was the kahu at Imiola Church, and we lived in Waiaka, and he was also served as principal of the elementary branch of HPA, which is right by the Episcopal Church there in Waimea.
Well, I know they're doing construction now at the school. They just started doing something. I'm not sure exactly. I don't have a knowledge of exactly what, but I know there's a lot of construction being going on there.
Well, it was completely restored when the heir to Campbell Soup bought the whole property of the New Moon Foundation, yes. And that was good because when I saw the buildings in 93 on a previous visit, the dormers were falling out upstairs on the third floor, and the place really looked dilapidated. And I thought, well, this may be the last time I'm going to see it. And now it looks beautiful again. It's been all painted and fixed up, and so I'm really glad and delighted that it's been fixed. It looks as good as it does.
Okay, well, I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you want to, that we left out of the history? I'm sure there is. Well,
I grew, of course, I grew up going to school. I mean, grades 2 through 5, I was at Kohala Elementary School, and it was just, I think it was probably the 4 most wonderful years of my life, actually, and I love coming back.
Do you still have any friends that you graduated with that you keep in contact now?
Oh, yes. I attend all the class of 63 reunions. I started at the 30th, and I was at the 30th, the 40th, and the 50th, and now Gary Hisaoka, for whom, his father is, for whom this gym is named, he's holding a mini reunion on Sunday afternoon for our class over at his dad's house in Hawaii. So I have kept in touch with a number of my classmates.
Fantastic.
And my older brother, who graduated in 53 from Kohala High School, comes back for every reunion. So
Okay, I have one question.
Yes.
Could you go back and remember one teacher, and who was your favorite teacher?
Oh, there's no question. Miss Ann Wong.
Why?
She was just a wonderful teacher, and she used to tell us stories about China, as she was born in China, during our rest period after lunches. And I just think, I like them all, but she was the one that was a standout. And I last saw her in 2003 when she was 101 years old.
Wow.
And we talked for like a half hour about memories of school. She remembered everyone's names, and she was so clear. And I'm just so glad I had it. She lived to be 102.
Okay.
And the other teacher I liked very much was Mrs. Walkie, my second grade teacher. And I last saw her in 93.
So you definitely have a lot of fond memories.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I'm asking everybody, did you go to the movie theaters that were available here?
I love the Halaula Kohala Theater. That was the most beautiful theater. I always thought it was a theater you expect to see in a wealthy suburb or something. It was an Art Deco style, and I think I saw most of the movies we went to there. We did go on occasion to the one in Hawi, and I think is it Kihei Theater or the one up as you come out of Hawi, the old theater still there.
I wish we would be able to utilize it.
That was where I saw the coronation of Queen Elizabeth the Second when they sent it around all the theaters in the country in 1953. We went to see it there.
Was the banyan tree there? I don't know my history that well, so was the banyan tree in Hawi town, was it there?
Yes, the big banyan tree was there. There was also a big banyan tree beside Kalahikiola Church, which is gone now.
Okay.
And the church that the Filipinos attended with Reverend Ibarra was in Hawi, right across, diagonally across from Nakahara Store. That's gone now. It was torn down. But if you look on my display panel, I have pictures of what I call Lost Kohala, and there's a picture of that church, a picture of the Kohala Theater when it was a beautiful theater. And
I'm going to look at it because I need to learn more about the history. I want to know everything that happened. I read some books and stuff, of course, but, nothing like talking to somebody who was here.
My dad went down and took a picture of the last sugar boat that went out of Mahukona Harbor before they all went down to Kauai, and there's a picture of that, as well as the trains that were at Mahukona that shuttled the sugar to the loading dock.
Did you ever hop a ride on the train?
No, those were strictly for the workers. I was a little kid. You stayed away from them. They might run you over.
I was wondering if the kids, did that, just...
I don't know.
I'm sure they did when no one was looking, right?
Well, perhaps.
Because kids would be kids.
But we always swam off the pier, there at Mahukona. I used to swim off there a lot. And you get the OPEs off the wall.
Well, it's still a major swimming hole.
Yes, but now the water's a lot cleaner.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's crystal clear now, whereas that was a working harbor.
Okay.
Well, it was a working harbor. You had big boats coming in and out all the time until they built Kauai High. The other place we used to take the girls a lot was Spencer Park.
Sure, okay.
And then occasionally to Hapuna, but Spencer was a nicer beach for swimming.
Much quieter waves.
Yes, right. You didn't have the heavy waves. Yeah.
That's excellent. You've reminisced. I've learned stuff that I didn't know.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that. And I'm going to definitely be at your booth. And I can't stress enough to the people listening that if you didn't have plans to come to the reunion, where can you go for free? My goodness, they've got all this history here, all this culture to see, all to learn. Plus, there's crafts, food, seminars, entertainment later. There's so much to do here. So come on down to the Kohala Reunion 2015. It only happens once every 5 years.
Right.
So they started at the Millennium, right, 2000?
Yes.
Were you at any of them?
No, this was the first one I was invited to. It's partly through the influence of David Short. He mentioned that there were not enough pictures of that era of the 50s.
Okay.
And so my pictures are all a trip down memory lane. They're all from 52 to 56. And they include, for instance, pictures of the teachers that were at this high school and all the people at Kalahikiola. So it's not just the girls' school. It's the picture of the community.
It will give a sense of the 50s.
Right. Okay. And as best I could, I got the names of everybody on those pictures, too. So you can... see, in fact, last night over in Hona Macau, the little restaurant there, one of the ladies there said that she was in Gertrude Levy's class. And I said, well, I have at least 5 pictures of Gertrude Levy up there.
But do you have any pictures of Mrs. Wong?
Oh, yeah. Actually, no, I take that back. I have pictures of Miss Wong, but unfortunately I didn't put that one up. But I do have pictures of a lot of the high school teachers, Miss Coder, Mrs. Short, Ruth Foster, Miss Frazier. Well, they were elementary. But a lot of the teachers I do have. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I really appreciate your interview. We're going to put it up online, so you would be able to access this at any time in the future at knkr.org. So if you want to hear it back, please do so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Willard. Appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
Mahalo.
Thank you. Okay. And you're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM, Kohala Radio, and we're here live. I'm Len Winkler, and we're here live at the 2015 Kohala Reunion. I don't have any treble or bass ability, Uncle David, so it's as trebly or bass as possible. I could put this closer to my mouth. Maybe that would help. That's why how are you doing? And so, you know me. Yes, of course. A little bit. Okay, I don't know if this is any better or not, so I'm trying. And anyway, so here we are, working our way, and we're going to turn up some microphones because we have another guest to interview, thanks to Bob Martin, the producer. Bob, who do we have here?
Good morning again, Len. This is... Get my mic up. This is Gladys Nambu, and we're not really going to interview Gladys, but Gladys has been such a great friend and such an important person in our community that I just wanted to give her an opportunity to say hello.
Good morning. I'm Gladys Hirano Nambu. I live in Halava Camp. Now the camp is not there, but it's good to be home, and it's good to be here today.
Well, I thank you for coming. I know I've met you at the Kohala Senior Center for a couple of years, a few years back. You were always a highlight.
Oh, thank you. Well, have a nice day.
Thank you, Gladys.
Thank you.
You're one of my loves, and I always have appreciated you in my life here in Kohala. So thanks for stopping by. Okay, we'll see you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Gladys. Thank you. Good to see you.
So I also have another guest. Thank you.
We are a guest-filled station. Oh, yes. How are you?
Our next guest for Kohala Radio this morning is
Rosemary
Camacho. And Rosemary grew up here a long time ago, and I'm going to let you try to get that information from her because it's fascinating.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, welcome, Rosemary. So, welcome to KNKR Radio. Mm-hmm. And Bob obviously knows something that he wants me to extract from you. And what do you have for us?
Okay. I lived closer to the lighthouse.
Oh, okay.
And our house was surrounded by cane field. I had no neighbors. So I told him we raised chickens and rabbits, and we also raised, across the road we had a pig pen, and we had one horse and one cow.
Okay.
So it was fun. And then I walked all the way to school, and that was quite a ways walking to school.
How far was it? Because I know I was...
Isn't it where the lighthouse is?
Okay.
To Halaula School.
Okay. So was that 4 miles, 3 miles, something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
More like 5 or 6 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, I walked to school.
Because I know Willard was talking, of course, we're talking back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
He was talking about the girls walking 10 miles to the girls' school and more, and in not easy terrain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then to the high school where it's bussed in.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of great because, although we're kind of naughty sometimes, we don't want to walk in line, so stay back and then walk through the Canefield roads and walk in the mud. We wanted our own boots, brown boots, in the mud. And then
That was
We had our own
a good
booth.
question, though, for one second. You say the boots. Where would you buy those boots? I mean, there couldn't have been a million
Right.
stores around.
So we walk in the mud and we got our own boots, just the color.
From a store, or?
No, just walking in the mud.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah. So, we go home and then they look like it's boots, but then it's actually our legs.
Well, as long as it was just mud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's to walk in the Canefield Road.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had our own, like my mother's rabbit. We had a rabbit and pigs. When they killed the pigs, we would send us inside to not watch them kill the pig. And our own chickens and our own warm milk from our cow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that you did that, I'm sure, on a daily basis. That was,
because it was the only house, and we had quite a bit of land where we could raise those animals. So it was kind of nice.
You still have that land?
No, that was the
that was
plantation.
Right,
land.
right. Okay.
And then further down, my grandfather had a garden. We used to garden down there. So
and
when
then
he was
you
alive,
moved away?
Yes, we moved to Kohala camp.
Okay.
We moved because my mother had a stroke, and the doctor said she could not live by her. It was too dangerous for her to live there by herself because we go to school, and so she had to have neighbors, and they went up we moved up that way.
So how did that change your life, that move and living there? Was it like totally...
Well, also, we didn't have any electricity.
Oh, okay.
No radio. And our refrigerator was a big ice block, and you put it onto this, like a refrigerator, but you had to buy the huge ice block.
And there was somebody, obviously...
Would bring it.
From where? Where did they bring the ice block from?
I don't know. I know it'd be this truck that would come with the ice block. And
I always wondered how that first person made ice.
Yeah.
We don't... Yeah. I don't think... Because you see, you watch the Westerns or something,
right.
and you see they're all bringing these big things of ice, right, with the snippers to hold it. And they go, well, how did the first person make that? I mean, they could bring it from the South Pole or something.
So someone tell me, how did you... I said, we had a top and a toilet in the back, and they said, we did not have the outhouse.
Mm-hmm.
We had it, and so I said, we heat up water in the kerosene stove so that we could take a bath because it was inside.
Okay.
We didn't have an outhouse. It was nice with that inside.
Oh, okay.
But it was nice. So I really enjoyed living there, living by myself. It was, and my sister and brothers, that's.
So you were never worried about, there was no reason to worry if you're by yourself, a young woman?
No, I was younger, yeah. You didn't have that problem.
I understand. That's fine.
No problem.
Well, even today, so many people in this community don't lock their doors. I mean, it's just that way. But back then, obviously,
we never did lock. No, we go out and the doors unlocked.
We could save a lot of money on building a house. You don't have to buy lots.
Yes.
Okay.
That was.
And so, where do you live now? Still in Kohala?
No, I live in Oahu. I live in Manoa Valley.
So the other lady I also interviewed moved to Oahu. Yeah. And why did you leave here to go to Oahu?
First, I left in 1958. I went to California.
Okay.
I had family in California. I had brothers.
But why did you leave Kohala? What was the real reason?
Okay, living in Kohala, there wasn't that much. You couldn't get a job.
Okay. So economics.
Economics, yeah. So then that's why I moved to California.
And you had family who was already there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I moved to San Francisco.
And I'm just curious, that family that lived in San Francisco, were they originally from here?
My brothers.
Okay. So they moved there before you, so they're older.
They're much older.
Okay.
Much older.
And so why did they move? Also economic reasons?
Well, according to my two older brothers went to Los Angeles to school. One was married. The married one came back, and the other one stayed. And then he moved to San Francisco because a lot of my father's family live in San Francisco.
Okay.
So then, and he's single, so then I moved up there, and I lived with him.
I always wonder who had that courage to leave Kohala first to go where they didn't know anybody.
Well, they were working he worked at Pearl Harbor. They both worked at Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
But then they went to school, and then when he moved to San Francisco, we used to have a cousin that would come, was a merchant marine, would come to the island, and he would come and bring, I remember the crates of oranges and stuff like that. And that's how we knew he had family. And then his wife and sister came here, so we got to know them. So,
Okay.
so, you know,
so it made it a little easy. Obviously,
yes.
family is what it's
Yeah.
all about.
Yes.
So then you went to San Francisco and did more school there?
No,
or?
I just found a job. I lived in the Mission District area, which was almost like Hawaii because the weather was beautiful there.
A little cooler, a little windier. No, maybe not so windy.
Mission District is sunny.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's sunny. It's beautiful. It's like here.
Okay. Okay.
Because that's why in fact, you had a lot of Hispanics in the Mission District area.
Okay.
A lot of people from Hawaii there. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
And
so you worked there for a while.
I worked there for a long time.
A long time. Okay.
I came back in 1992 to Oahu.
So since 1992, have you come back and visited Kohala?
Oh yes.
Oh, you come here a lot, back and forth. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously a lot has changed in Kohala since.
Oh yes. Yes.
Can you narrow it down and tell me what has changed even from 1992 to now?
I miss the lighthouse. We had a beautiful lighthouse there. And, of course, they tore down our house, so there's nothing there. You can't go down there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, what else has changed? Well, we didn't have all those houses on this highway.
Yeah,
here.
a lot of new building, isn't there?
We didn't have, no. And,
no, I'm saying now there's been a lot of new buildings.
Because they brought them all, and you have a lot of new buildings. And then where we're staying at the Kohala Ranch, it was called Maleo Ridge, and we used to go visit the family that lived there.
So Kohala, let me get this straight. Kohala Ranch was...
Kohala Lodge. Kohala Lodge is where we're staying at.
Okay.
It was called Maleo Ridge, and we used to visit the family there, and there was cane fields there.
Mm.
So there's a difference right there.
Oh, yeah, well, Maleo Ridge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And I'm asking everybody about the movie theaters. What do you remember about movie theaters back?
Honolulu one.
Everybody's mentioning that same one.
The beautiful one. I couldn't see how they could not kept that one open, and instead they had the one in Hawaii, and then that one's gone. So
it's there. Yeah. I mean, I wish they would do something with it. It's a shame they have that building.
One? Yeah.
But
it's a private owner, though.
Yes, I've heard all kinds of stories. Not sure, but
I don't know either.
It's just a shame that building. It's I don't think anybody's working on it or doing anything to it. So I mean, it's just sitting there. It could be used for at least community gathering or something. No. Well.
You have to speak to the owner.
Yeah, it's above my pay station, I think. Yeah. But yes, I've been told that there were so many nice theaters, and that was something for the kids to do.
Yeah.
Now, what is there for the kids to do?
We used to go, 50 cents or something like that? Yeah.
Well, I even remember on the mainland going...
quarter or whatever.
Yeah.
So I went to a lot of movies when I went to the mainland. I don't go to the movies.
Well, that's
Thank you.
Excellent. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it, Rosemary.
Before you go, Rosemary, I'm going to give you a surprise. A Kohala Radio surprise. I want to introduce...
my sister-in-law.
Your sister-in-law.
Hi, Chris.
What did I do with the card?
So nice.
This one?
Yes. So, am I on?
You are. Yes,
just stay a minute. This second guest, go with Rosemary, is Christina Santiago Texera.
Mm-hmm.
Christina is 87 years old, and she looks like she's 30.
You're not 87. No, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was born at home in Halaula, across the street at the church, across the street from the school. And so, she is...
Halaula or Halava?
Halava.
Halava.
Not Halaula. Halava.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna share microphones, okay? And so when you want to talk, you grab it, and when you want to respond, you grab it. You guys just talk about how you know each other and the past, okay?
Oh, how did I know you?
Go ahead.
I was born in the village of Alava a home birth by my grandmother. my grandmother, my mother's mother,
Yes.
Carmen Acevedo.
Yes.
And I was brought up, went to Alava School at that time before the school was broken down for and changed to Halaula, brand new school. And Mr. Henry Govea was the principal. And then we went on to middle school and high school. On the ninth grade, we were transferred by bus from the Wuhan store where we all met every bus trip to Kohala High School, where I graduated in the year 1946.
Is it in the same location now that it was then in 1946?
Exactly the same location where Hanamacao is the area where the high school is located still.
When Pearl Harbor happened, I believe you said you were 13.
Yes, when Pearl Harbor happened, I was 13 years old, living temporarily with my sister Beatrice and my brother-in-law Joe Caravaggio in Halaula. And when the radio announced attack on Pearl Harbor, we were dressed, Joe, my brother-in-law, and I, to go to church across the street.
Sure, it was Sunday morning, right?
Church. Sunday morning, December 1941. And then I went to Mass and we prayed and everything. We're so nervous. And I came home and I told my sister, I was helping her. She had a sick child and I was there to help my sister for a week or two. However, I cried and I said, I want to see my mother and my father. Although I was 13 years old, I thought the war would go on in Hawaii. So I cried, and Joe took me, my brother-in-law, back to Halava. And I just saw my mother and didn't stop crying. I was so nervous.
Could I ask what you might remember that changed, like, overnight because of that? Like, what happened?
The community turned into a military, soldiers and Marines from
a lot of relatives.
Kamuela, Hawaii.
A lot of relatives joined.
And a lot of relatives were joined and intermarried. My sister married one of the soldiers, Ali Garcia, who was from Puerto Rico, and one of the army boys. And some of the marriages took place, otherwise from the military. However, I was then in high school, about on to 14, 15 years old, the 10th grade, 11th grade, and I also went to work and helped the nurses in Kamuela reclaim the quarters and help cleaning their quarters and giving them their meal time when they needed meals with service at the meal time in the Waimea Hospital for the military only. It was a huge hospital that was already built, but they added rooms, for all the military.
Yeah, I can't imagine what went on back then, especially in Hawaii. I mean, I can imagine on the mainland, but in Hawaii, which was bombed, right?
Were there a lot of young men that were soldiers that had come in that you met?
Oh, yes.
You were was at any parties or anything?
Oh, the U.S. we were the U.S. Queen.
Oh, now you're talking.
Yeah.
My name is Hazel Troche, and this is my Auntie Christina you're talking to, and she brings back my memories because I was a year old when they bombed Pearl Harbor. But I do remember my Auntie Rose, her sister, falling in love with the Coast Guard. And coming to it, and they came, and the story that I was told, he goes to ask my grandfather for her hand in marriage, and Grandpa said no.
No.
She was only 16.
Oh, that's a little young.
Oh, as she mentioned, he was in the army, not the, but my father felt that she shouldn't get married because she was in old enough. She didn't finish high school for one thing.
Did he come back, Auntie?
And then she went to took some kind of military boat, and someone here arranged it where his aunt, he was shipped to Iwo Jima. And so his aunt in New York had a picture of her. And when she arrived so many days later in a train center, and the auntie and her daughter were looking at the picture, looking at her, and exactly, that is Rose. That is the picture. So that she stayed with the aunt in New York until he came back and they got married.
I will tell you something. My brother August, he helped her run away to New York.
Your brother?
Yeah, he helped Rose run away to New York.
So you didn't marry a soldier.
I didn't marry her.
Oh, okay.
Then her brother, my husband, Bernard Camacho, was indicted into taken from the Pearl Harbor job on to the army and landed in the island of Kwajalein, and the native island at Kwajalein, and there he was for about a year. And the Navy decided to take all the, he didn't stay but 2 years, and take them back to work as regular workers, and they were defense, CO, so CO defense workers. When on the road, just discharged, but he still became a veteran of the Army. Mm-hmm.
So these are great stories, and we want to thank you both for sharing them. And these have been recorded, so we hope it's okay to just share them, because there's so many people who want to hear about the history here and about all the experiences.
I myself am touched right now to bring up these questions and the memories, which feels like it wasn't that long ago that it happened.
Well, when you were talking about the USO and the women there, my mom was a USO woman, and she met many guys.
We used to have a little black book, and we signed the names of who was going to be dancing next with you. My sister had a black book, I had a black book. And my sister was older and very glamorous.
Well, you're as beautiful as you are right now. You would have been filled your book up in a hurry.
And I tell you, you're telling me more about the Black Book than I found out from my mom and the USO in her whole life. I kept asking and asking, but all I know is that she had many boyfriends from the USO, and that she says if it wasn't for the women of the USO, the men wouldn't have fought. So they were fighting to get back to the USO and the women.
There was also, my mom used to take care of the military.
Uh-huh.
And some of them were fathers as little children, so they would come and visit my mom. So I got a doll and a panda bear from the military. So those that had little children would visit my mom so they could play with me. So it reminds them of their family.
Sure. No, extremely important, extremely.
So, Rosemarie and Christina, thank you so much. And, if you have some other thoughts later during the next 4 days that you think you might want to share, come back and we'll get you back on the air. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Aloha.
Aloha.
And you're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 Kohala Radio. Okay. I'm going to try not to clip my microphone.
You want to take a break, or are you ready for another?
Well, let's see. I want to remind everybody that this is the 2015 Kohala Reunion. I can't stress enough that you come on down, come visit. There's many people meandering around, plus the fact but there's so many exhibits. I mean, I'm looking, we've got all these labs here. Tomorrow there's going to be a big 4th of July celebration. You should be here for that. There's signs about Kohala's pride, Kohala's future, the missionary years, the ranching period, the plantation camp maps. So many things that are here. Uncle David is at our studio. And Uncle David, would you be able to give us a little music interlude for a couple of moments, and then we can come back to it?
Not a problem there, Len. I can go ahead and we can put on some music.
But what? Well, we can do another interview. Sure, Bob. Yeah, no problem. So people are meandering around. I want to encourage everybody to listen to KNKR Radio. We're going to repeat these broadcasts. From 12 to 2, you can hear this whole broadcast in its entirety. And then we're going to upload these on our knkr.org website so that in the future you can also listen at any time that you want on demand. Okay, and we're going to be taking another interview. I turned my mic down, David, Uncle David, so I hope that I'm not clipping anymore. And we have Larry Kanda here. Kanda, sorry. Yes. Larry Kanda, regarding an interview.
Larry grew up here in Kohala and has many, many stories and many friends, and actually talks to Joe Cavallo and many others almost every day. Larry comes to us. He's been living in Honolulu for quite a while, and he was a senior official in the civil defense for the state of Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
When I met Larry, he was involved in saving the ditch after the earthquake in 2006, and it was through his help that we were able to do that. So he's got a big tie, a long-term tie to Kohala. He and Joe Cavallo and Rodney Casimiro and others. Mm-hmm. So we thought it would be really good to talk with Larry this morning. So this is Len Winkler, and he'll do the interview with you, Larry.
Hi, Len.
Hi. Yeah. And so in 2006, when the earthquake occurred, you were in Honolulu, is that correct?
Yes, I was working for the State of Hawaii Civil Defense Division. It's called Hawaii Emergency Management Agency right now. They changed their name a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was in the military, in the Air Force, on active duty for about 27, 28 years. But after 2 wars, it was time for me to come home. So, and my parents were still living in Kohala at that time on Kindersley, so it was a no-brainer for me to come home.
So if they lived on Kindersley, I'm just imagining they got a house from the plantation. And I know this is off topic, but could you help me with my history? So the people on Kindersley, those were plantation homes. And how did they actually get those homes?
Well, my family lived in Halaula, the mill camp.
Okay.
So when the plantation, I guess owners Castle and Cook at that time decided to sell the homes because it was not cost effective to do all the maintenance and repair. And as I looked at the contract, I did some research on it when we sold a house about 3 years ago. There was a moving cost. They cut the house. I can split the house and moved it by truck.
Okay.
And I think the expense at that time was $100.
Oh, wow.
And
what year are we talking?
I'm talking about 1960.
60, okay.
Yeah, I went off to the University of Hawaii in Honolulu at that time. And how they bid it for the property, they allowed 5 families to group together and add their years of service of the plantation. And whoever came up with the highest number had the choice of properties first.
Oh, okay.
So most of the folks wanted to be closer to Akonipule Highway. Mm-hmm. I think my folks and their so-called hui were like third in line, so we're about 12 to 15 homes away from the highway. So that's how the process went. And I'm quite sure the bidding was allowed first for the Halaula folks because there was two huge camps, what we used to call up camp and down camp.
And so they bid on how much they wanted to pay for the house?
No.
Okay. So how did they decide how much they were? Because I've been told so many different stories I'd like to.
Well, the initial bidding, all you have to do is, I will buy this house.
Okay.
And at that time, the price was, as I said, about $100.
For the house?
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but, I saw $100, and I saw another figure of $1,000, and that could be for moving the house.
Okay, because that's the figure I was told at one time by a couple of different people was it would cost $1,000, and so to me that's still a deal, right?
Yeah.
But of course it was good for the plantation because they got rid of it and they didn't have to, right? Okay.
Yeah, they gave the land free, of course. It's about 3/4 of an acre.
Wow. And
the house itself wasn't that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And when we sold it, I think the house was about 70 years old, but pretty good shape. It sustained very minor damage during the earthquake.
And that was the question I was going to get.
Yeah.
So now back to the earthquake.
Okay.
The epicenter was in the ocean, is that correct?
Right.
And so
Kohala Bay, yes.
And it has something to do with the depth of how severe it affects us, a specific earthquake.
Yeah.
So this was a plate movement, or did this have something to do with our volcanoes?
It was a combination of both. Most of the earthquake here in Hawaii is because of the volcanic movement. And in that case, it was a shallow earthquake, so a lot of the energy was close to the surface. Mm-hmm. If you have a deep earthquake, the energy is absorbed in deeper depth of water. In this case, as I recall, it was a 6.8. It's large, but not as large as the 8.0, 9.0 elsewhere we've seen in the world.
Sure.
So, but it caused severe damage. All the way from Kona down to Pauwilo.
Yeah,
Kohala as well.
I spoke to somebody today, actually in Phoenix, whose brother lives in Kona, and he said he got extensive damage during that, and I wasn't aware of that. I thought that it was mostly centered in the Kohala area.
Yeah, I came out from Honolulu the afternoon of the earthquake with a damage assessment team. Mm-hmm. And when I got here, I realized the damage was much more severe than we first thought.
And how did you get into Kohala? How were you able to get?
Well, we flew into Hilo, a National Guard airplane. Mm-hmm. And I had a team of 12 people with me, and I quickly had to expand that to about 22. And we divided the team into districts rather than East and West Hawaii, because we knew most of where the damages were, but it was extensive, especially to some big infrastructure like the ditches, Kohala Ditch and Hamakua Ditch, and many homes had severe damage.
Was the upper road even passable?
Yes.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some bridge damage like off the Hamakua coast, but most of the reason why there weren't too many bridge damages, they had been retrofitted a few years before that. There was some federal money, and a lot of the bridges were retrofitted for earthquakes.
I want to butt in a little bit. This is Bob Martin again, and introduce a little counterpoint to this conversation with Joe Caballo, who's a good friend of Larry's, and they grew up together. And
hey, Larry,
they're shaking hands.
You see that on the radio real close.
Oh, buddy, we play Little League together.
And did you know what Larry said his name was?
We knew him as Moon. The reason why his parents used to call him Sonny, and we use the opposite of that, Moon.
I kind of got that. Children must play.
That's right. But it's great, and he's done great things for the community since he moved back from Petaluma, California.
So you moved back here?
Yeah. After I retired. Okay, I'll share something about Petaluma.
Okay.
Not very many people know about this.
Do we want to know we're going on the radio live?
It hasn't been filtered.
This is our first day, on the radio.
But no, it's very childish. You gotta listen. You can pet a cat, you can pet a dog, but you cannot pet a Luma. Funny joke for me.
That was like me growing up in Chicago in the 50s and 60s, and we voted all the time. In fact, we voted daily.
You don't like the result, vote off it.
Exactly.
So anyway, Larry, I'm glad to see you.
Good to see you again, Moon. Yeah. So you guys are hard at work again.
Well, it's just tying up things now.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, Moon.
Well,
What nickname did Larry have?
Larry.
Son?
Larry.
No, I had a straight name at that time.
Okay, so
we got to relive something about our high school game. Tell them, Larry, about the double play we
were playing a high school baseball game.
Yes.
And earlier in the game, the ground ball came to me and it hit my finger. My right finger was dislocated. And I pulled it back into shape because I didn't want to get out of the game. And if you look at it right now, it's still...
It is.
Yeah, and the thing was swelling up throughout the game. Then a ground ball to Moon, who was playing shortstop, Joe Caballo, and there's a run at first. He threw it to me, and I don't know how I got it to first base. We completed a double play.
After it was holding his finger, oh, my finger!
This was real baseball, not softball.
No, real high school softball, baseball game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So today, if they hurt their fingernail,
you're in the disabled list for a year. Yeah.
So we are waiting. Yeah, we're interrupting you, but we are waiting for Roger Casimiro. He's almost in the area.
Okay.
He's our crooner and our we're a straight man to him.
As soon as he shows up, we'll use it because we were actually on something quite serious because we were talking about the earthquake. So I was wondering how did you ascertain if individual homes structures were damaged?
Well, we have people would call in. We had a service center made up of county, state, and federal resources at the Citizen Center. We came in 2 days after, encouraging people to call in if damages because there was federal money to help for the restoration of those homes in the event they had no insurance. So we established that process, and of course the radio was blabbing, and we had a team of engineers that did the structural analysis. And if there's severe damage to a home, we put a red marker that means cannot go in. Yellow means you can go in but only get your essentials out. Green means you have damage but you can live in it. So we did that whole process throughout the island with engineers that were volunteers to us.
How fast was power restored in the Kohala area?
Power was restored fairly quickly.
Okay.
When I arrived, there was already power here. I believe the most hard-hit areas were elsewhere, like Oahu.
Oh, really?
Because the grid went down in certain parts, and with the amount of users, it caused power outage for about a full day in many places.
Did the earthquake generate a tsunami?
It did not. The tsunami was, if there was any, it was very slight. Yeah.
Good.
In fact, the Japanese earthquake generated more of a tsunami on the Big Island than the earthquake of 2006 here in Kohala.
And what did we learn, and what have we changed any of our systems or anything since 2006 to help us? I mean, now we do have a radio station locally. So.
This is probably the biggest change. Communications is always a key in disaster. People have to know what to do, what damage, and whatever. So we try to establish communications via the smartphones. You can subscribe to that. The Internet has information right away that you can pipe into. But in this case, if the events happen, I envision that this station can get direct contact with the county or state emergency management agency and start putting out where it's like if there's a road blockage, electricity being down, or water problems, then you can communicate that very quickly.
Well, we have contacted and had discussions with the fire department, the police department, so they know that we are existing and to exchange information that they would want out to the public. And, of course, our EAS machine that's tied in with civil service and stuff.
In Oahu, there are several stations that are designated as emergency broadcast stations. So they have to be on the air 24 hours a day. So we, Civil Defense, at that time provided generators for those stations so they can operate, every minute, every second of the day. I can't recall the stations, but, perhaps you can work the same deal here. If your power goes out here, and I suspect you're using the commercial power system here. Oh, you got your own generator?
Yeah. So we're very green. Our transmitter site is all solar.
Wow, terrific.
With a backup generator.
Yeah.
But our studio, of course, will be on commercial power with a backup generator.
So you're self-sustaining practically.
We're going to hope to be, because isn't the purpose really, when it comes down to it, our radio station needs to be there, if God forbid, when there is the next event.
And that's a key component. You have to be there when you need it, and not after the fact. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
I have a personal question. Did ham radio operators have anything to do with it?
Yes. They're very active in Hawaii. We deploy them. They're part of the team with emergency management. So they go out to areas where communication is needed. But that's after the event has occurred and maybe a few hours after. The other thing we use quite a bit is the Air Patrol, Civil Air Patrol, especially in tsunami, to survey the damage. And, of course, a big part of it is the Hawaii National Guard. We use their aircraft to overfly areas to see where an extensive damage has occurred. So.
And I know the Hawaii National Guard alumni are going to present colors tomorrow, so that should be a nice event, a nice ceremony.
And that's another huge element in this town of Kohala. They're on call anytime, anywhere, no matter what the task is. And they never ask for anything, any favors. They just do the work. And you see them all around. They set up everything here on the outside, the tents. And they do a fantastic job.
And how often do you come back to Kohala?
Well, not as often as I did when my mom was alive. I used to come back every month. Now, perhaps every 3 or 4 months. I have a sister in Hilo and a brother in Honoka'a. So if I come and visit them, I make a trip here. At least I have breakfast with some of my friends here.
So you're very tied in. And do you, in the short time that you're not here living in Kohala, what has changed the most to you?
Well, retirement. I'm no longer working on a full-time basis, but I do volunteer work. And basically, I have control of my time, except when my wife wants me to do something. We all know that as male, but I do a lot of traveling right now, things that I can still enjoy while I'm healthy.
Right.
Of course, coming back to Hawaii, the Big Island, and Kohala, important trips for me.
So how, since you've lived and been around in a lot of different communities, especially as part of civil defense with emergency, how does Kohala differ, in your opinion, maybe, or maybe it doesn't, from other places? Well, what makes it unique?
Kohala is unique, not truly unique by itself, but the way they go about in helping each other. I remember sitting at the center after the earthquake. There were several people coming in and saying, "Get me the material and I'll help restore your house," without asking for anything. We were working around the clock, and I was looking for places to get food for our staff. People were bringing in food to us, and we were very grateful. It's this spirit, like when we came in, we're part of the family. We were just our part, and people were willing to help without asking for anything. In times of crisis, you see many places where you have shysters coming in, say, we'll repair your house for X number of dollars, take your money and disappear. And you never see that in Kohala. As I recall, I wasn't here when it happened. Someone told me the road going on to Honolulu, there was landslide, it was blocked. And this was like a Sunday afternoon it happened, so government was off work. A private contractor got his dozer or his bobcat and just went and did this to clear off the road.
Wow.
If you block the road, those people cannot get out of Niue, Honolulu, and those portions of Kohala. They're isolated. But things like that happen as a matter of fact. People just go out and do it and not being asked. And I see that time and time again. I grew up in a plantation camp. And when the plantation went on strike, people didn't have money. And I see people helping each other, buying food, whatever. It was like ingraining them that I don't have to be told to do something to help some others. It was always that hand helping instead of the hand out trying to receive. And
this community, I've been here 8 years, and there's nothing but cohesiveness and people willing to help. And and that's really what the radio station is, promoting the radio. But that's what we're here to do also, to make it more cohesive also.
Going back, looking at the North Kohala Community Resource Center, when we brought in the federal money to repair the ditch, they had to be an administering agency. But the Kohala Ditch being a private entity, we couldn't give it to Surety at that time. So that organization, the NKCRC, we asked them, this stood up. And now this is a huge effort. Not only receiving the money, tracking it, doing all the bookkeeping. Of course, they had some administrative money, but they really stepped up to help the community.
Well, I'm told that there are 92, I believe that's correct, 92 different organizations now involved with the Resource Center. That's a lot of community activism.
See, when I spoke to Christine Richardson and Bob Martin, I know they were somewhat reluctant, but said, we'll give you any help that we can from our side. But they took the task. It wasn't smooth going, but they really did a good job. So another effort that's come to fruition is the Wildlife Center with Linda Elliott. And we started to talk about, I know the NKCRC was involved in that. These are good things, like the Wildlife Center. It's a huge educational thing about the cultural aspects of not only Kohala, but Hawaii, that Linda and her people are doing.
Also, hopefully get kids involved in it, and they have another alternative for a future career.
That's right.
Same with broadcasting.
A lot of these things go back to the roots of Kohala. We're looking at endangered species and plants of the Wildlife Center. We're looking at the Kohala Ditch that the center tried to help to retain. That goes back to the early days of the plantation.
Need the water.
Need the water. Without water, life cannot be sustained, and we all know that. But this whole aura of Kohala, when we talk about it, as we get older, we appreciate it even more.
Well, we love it and don't want to change it. But some things have changed, and obviously that.
Well, there's always room for change, but sometimes drastic change is very hard to absorb right away. But the world is changing, and we're part of the world, so we've got to make adaptation to it as well.
Exactly.
Another good friend of ours, I hope you have a chance to interview, is Dr. Dennis Gonzalez.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about him. He grew up in Kohala in the same camp that I grew up, but he's been involved with he brought back the papaya industry when he was at Cornell. And he was part of the Pacific Basin Research Center director. He's recently retired, living in Hilo, but he has a house in Kinsley. He's been around. I've seen him. He's here for this event, but
I'm sure Bob Martin will grab him. He's guest member.
But he's part of the group. We just talked to Joe Carvalho, that we grew up together.
He played baseball too.
He was a good baseball player.
Did you guys win the state?
In fact, we were very close to winning the Island Championship.
Okay.
And at that time, it's unheard of Kohala winning anything in Little League. We didn't even have uniforms.
Oh, really?
We played with jeans and T-shirts.
Well, I know I was interviewing a lady from a long, long time ago, and she said they didn't have boots, but they walked in the mud, and when they came home, they had mud boots. So, yes.
But those things never bothered us.
No.
It seems like we had a chance to play, and had the opportunity to travel, so, we're grateful.
Yeah, lots of change.
Yeah.
Today it's a whole different world.
It is, and part of that change is good. Others, you kind of wince at it,
Yeah. Even me from Chicago, I can think back and I can see lots of change. It's not all good.
So you lived in Chicago until about 8 years ago?
No. I lived in Chicago until 1980 and moved to Phoenix and lived there until 8 years ago.
Another good friend, his parents came over from Indiana to be teachers at Kohala High School, Walter and Lena Short. Their sons grew up in Kohala, and Charles Short, my classmate, went to school in Indiana. Eventually, we resided in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Kenosha, okay.
Which is very close to Chicago.
Sure.
And although he's lived most of his adult life there, he's told me several times, I'm so grateful I grew up in Kohala.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kenosha, I used to go there actually because I had friends. My parents had friends there, and we would go to Kenosha often from Chicago. It was only like an hour drive.
Yeah, it's not too far away, you know.
And it was like it didn't feel right in that city. I don't know. I hate, if you're from Kenosha, I apologize. But I actually, there were other areas of like West Allis, Wisconsin, and stuff that to me were much nicer. Kenosha was kind of run down area. So Kohala is, that's the ambience of it. Yeah. So.
Where you find the real bond between fellow Kohalians? I may be in Denver, Colorado, or Washington, D.C., and somehow we learn that, hey, that guy is from Kohala, or that lady is from Kohala, and we kind of talk, even though we may not have known each other when we grew up, there's an immediate bond.
You have an immediate affinity for each other, and somehow you attract each other. Yeah.
Because you understand what the community is like, so... But I've been talking too long. I'm sure there are others, here as well. But thank you for the opportunity of letting me talk and what I feel about Kohala and the good people that still live here. Yeah.
Well, Larry, I appreciate it. I learned a little about the earthquake. I learned about Kohala more. I learned about Kinnersley and the houses moving.
I'll give you one thing that I got to know more about Kohala as a youngster because of a part-time job I had. I delivered groceries from a Nakahala store.
Oh, I was going to say it had to be done.
What people did at that time would call in and say, I order this. And after school, I would get all the orders and deliver it. So I got to drive throughout the community. I knew where all the good places were. I wanted places to avoid because there were too many dogs or whatever. So I had a chance to meet people that I wouldn't probably have not met or seen places by not doing this job.
So were there big tippers?
No, there. What was unusual at that time is there was one payday at the end of the month.
Okay.
And people get the money and they buy their rice and their chicken feed and whatever, and I had to deliver all that stuff. And it all came in 100-pound bags. Then I would collect whatever they'd owed for the previous month and put it in the bag and go to the bank. And they would not tip me. But they give me goodies like sweet bread or things that they would cook for payday, the special things. So that's why I enjoy ethnic food. Besides the real, I grew up in a Japanese household, but I could practically eat anything because I had a chance to eat those kinds of food on payday.
I imagine there were a lot. Back then, the economy was a lot of trade. I mean, you kind of would do a service for somebody, and they would do something for you.
There were a lot of ohana type of work. Mm-hmm. You want to fix your house or do something. Relatives and friends go over and do it. I would think back something akin to that would be the Amish people. When they build something, they have a whole slew of people go over, and that's how we did extensions on our house. Friends and relatives came over. Mm-hmm. We just bought the material. And there was a lot of that going on.
A very cohesive community.
Very tight.
Yeah.
And it partly due to geography at that time. There was only one road in Kohala, the mountain road.
And how long did it take, years ago, to get from Kohala to Waimea?
It took a little bit longer, I would say, than now. Probably 45 minutes. The roads were narrower, and there was a lot more traffic. Because there's only one way in and out. Mm-hmm. And Kohala was probably, when I grew up, between 4,500, 5,000 people. So it probably was at its peak in terms of numbers at that time.
And what do we have here now, approximately, in Kohala?
Oh, it's larger now.
6,300?
Yeah. But there's a lot of traffic because Plantation used the road to, move some of the sugar and it was scary driving to the Kohala Mountain because the roads were narrow.
Were there many accidents?
And there were several. I know one of my uncles got involved in an accident once, got hit by a delivery truck. No serious damage, but we would hear about frequent accidents, not big ones, but As you know, if you drive there in the evening, it gets quite foggy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh, yes.
But it's a beautiful drive.
Yeah, you get up to 3,600
Yeah,
feet. So
I take the drive every time I come to Kohala. You know?
people who come and visit and who've never been to Hawaii, they always say that drive is magnificent.
It
because,
is, yeah.
because you see all kinds of, you see from cactus to, if you could see the snow on Mauna Kea.
And if you get down to Kohala side on a clear day, I mean, you can see Maui, Haleakala, you can see a little bit of Kaholau there, maybe Lanai on a very clear day, you know.
Yeah, the Kohala
magnificent,
unique.
Yeah.
Get me on. This is Bob Martin again. During hiking over the last 20 years here, 30 years, we've come across roadways that look like they go up and connect to the mountain road. So it's not, back in those days, it wasn't just Kinnersley going up. Wasn't it like from Halaula or Halava that you could get a horse and buggy almost all the way to Palolu and get up onto the mountain road? Is that right?
Yes, you could. There were smaller trails. Some of it were impassable for vehicles, but you could get by horses. They went above the main roads. A lot of it had to do with the plantation.
Right.
Because they had the fields up above high, and they had to get the trucks up there. I remember as a kid, we used to go up hiking in those areas and use the ditch to ride the rubber tubes, which weren't too far with the plantation. But there were trails that we could get up there.
Yeah.
And probably most of it is covered right now. I'm not sure. And because of the private takeover, a lot of those lands,
I think they're still there. They're just not used, and they're overgrown. Yeah. So, well, Larry, we really enjoyed having you. And
it's my pleasure. I'm glad I could talk a little about Kohala. I know a little bit about the history.
You know a lot about the history, I'm sure.
Kohala has always been close to my heart. Never been away from it.
Yeah. Anytime soon you're going to be back and live here?
Well, I'd like to, but I got some health issues that I need to be near a big facility.
Like Queens or something.
Yeah, Queens. I've got a heart problem, but
oh no!
If it wasn't for that, I'd be definitely back here full time.
That's probably one of the biggest things that we hear is the health issue. And I don't know if there's enough land on the Big Island if we had enough doctors.
Yeah.
Because I think that people would be moving here. And I hear so many that would want, not just to Kohala, but just the Big Island in general.
Yeah. Just one thing. My internist in Honolulu has a daughter now practicing in Waimea. And I've seen a little bit of this, that these type of doctors, I don't want the big city and the big money. The lifestyle is too treacherous, it's too fast. They prefer the country style of life. So I hope we see more of this kind of transition.
Well, you know that North Kohala, the North Hawaii Hospital in Waimea and Queens have now formed a partnership, and that portends pretty good medical care going forward over the years. So maybe one of these days you'll...
If it wasn't for that, I would be back here in a heartbeat. And my wife is from Mapo Hoi Hoi, so she's a Big Island girl too. So I
know when I had cancer in 2005, I had to spend the whole summer in Honolulu, living there in a rented apartment, and go into Queens and all that for surgery and Kaiser and radiation and all that. So it's not a pretty picture to have to leave the island to go do that. So.
And traffic is horrendous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Isn't it number one? I think it takes the longest to get to and from your home to work of any city, including Los Angeles. I couldn't believe it when I read that.
Yeah.
A few years ago, when I was still working full time, I used to leave my house 5 a.m. for Pole City to go to Diamond Head Crater, where Civil Defense is located. If I left at 5:30, I'd be there within half an hour, easy. If I left at 6, it would take me over an hour. And coming home, because you run into the school traffic, the University of Hawaii traffic, it always took me an hour, even though I left at 2:30 sometimes. If you left at 4 or 5, forget it. You'd be lucky to be home by 6.
Well, that's why I like Kohala too.
Yeah.
I driving on 250 or 270, whatever, one of the two, and there's no cars. And I say to my wife all the time, this is the kind of traffic I like at rush hour.
Like no traffic.
There's not a car.
Yeah, we on the radio bringing the traffic report, and there's a 2-car backup at I'm going to Rahway and Chiggy's. You know,
well, when I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, back in '80, if there were 2 cars at a red light, we thought there was a traffic jam. Now, if you don't get through 3 light changes, you still think it's okay. You know, there's the 4th one that means there's traffic. And so here, it's like, it's a pleasure. People complain. Man, until you get to Kona, those are crowded there.
Wasn't there talk at one time to put a traffic light down by Shiggy's at Halvi?
There was a conversation about it, but nobody ever thought that was going to happen.
I think that's a mistake.
I was actually going to ask you that, if anybody had ever talked about putting traffic lights up.
The other conversation was, that got a little bit more traction, was to have it a double stop sign. So, and that's getting more and more traction, but I don't think that'll ever happen either, frankly, because although many times there are 2 or 3, 4-car backup, it's not, nobody's really complaining about it.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. I mean, and that's sort of what is the beauty of this place, is that it is kind of, I mean, I can brag to everybody, and I have to drive 35 miles, 35 minutes to get to the first stoplight.
Yeah. And although maybe it looks like Kohala's changing, the growth between the 2010 census and the 2000, what was the last census? Anyway, from 2010 to now, 2010 going back to 2000, it's 122 people. That's how much we grew. And so that's just suggesting that Keep Kohala as a community plan is working. So I found that interesting.
So that's a good effort. You just spoke of the planning effort that you guys are doing with the county, the community plan there. And I've seen parts of it. I read about it when I look at the newspaper. So that's a good effort. You need to get involved.
Well, Joe Cavallo has been a really key figure in all of that.
You cannot sit back and wait for things to happen. And usually bad things happen if you do that.
You do need, like Kohala knows it has to take care of itself. That's kind of our motto, I think.
Ignorance is not bliss.
Right?
I know. It's you can push it away for a while, but it'll come back and haunt you worse.
It will. Well, Larry, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Nice talking with you. Are you going to be on the program here
I'm
tomorrow?
speaking tomorrow as part of the Veterans Day ceremony they're having.
We're
a former vet.
We're probably going to want to be out there for that. And I understand there's going to be some music, a Star Spangled Banner or something. Have a little, just like the last. There's
going to be a number of speakers. I'm one of them. Former council member Pete Hoffman will be speaking.
Hoffman,
he's a retired Army colonel, so he's going to talk. I'll talk about the Air Force, which was my service.
In the Air Force, right?
I didn't want to carry a rifle, but I wanted to fly in a plane.
We may not record all of that, but we'll certainly be out there.
My talk will be short and sweet.
Yeah, I tell you what, I remember tears in my eyes at the last reunion. I think that when that service is done out there, it just is really, 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 really connecting me to the people and to all the losses we had in the wars.
One of the things I'm really proud of to be part of, Kohala has more than fulfilled its commitment as far as being in the service. And I always remind people, go to the Veterans Board at Kappa Alba Citizen Center by the Kamehameha statue.
Yes.
And look at all those names.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And several of my people I've known that have died. Joe Cavallo's uncle is a hero. He saved many lives, Korea and Vietnam. And the good thing about Kohala has never forgotten its veterans. It's always honored its veterans.
We even have a tank right here.
Yeah.
The M60. So we're ready in case there's an invasion.
Yeah. It's a show of force.
All right.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure meeting you. Thank you. Okay. And you're listening to KNKRLP 96.1, Kohala Radio. And we've got a few more minutes. I think it is 11:43. And we're going to continue on for about 15 minutes. And let me just tell you that the rest of the activities today, so come on down to the King Cam Park and partake in the 2015 Kohala Reunion. Inside the gym today, the Hawaiian history prior to Captain Cook and the missionaries is really what the focus is today. And the area is devoted to the original settlers of Kohala, the ancient Hawaiians. There's exhibits here to show how they thrived in their limited island environment. They're showing reproductions of the tools, the utensils, ornaments, and other artifacts of various aspects of their life, such as farming, fishing, and worshiping. There's going to be stories of the early missionaries and the famous churches they established. You can learn about the dedication of men like Reverend Elias Bond. And in the afternoon, the focus will be on the early ranching periods of Kohala, of the beginning and developments of Parker Ranch, Kahua, and other ranches. So come on down. And then tomorrow, between 11 and 12, they're going to have the Independence Day ceremony by the Kohala National Guard alumni. So you definitely don't want to miss that. They're going to have a really good rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. There's going to be some presentations, some speeches. And tomorrow they're going to deal with the plantation era from 1863 to 1975. So that should be neat. On Sunday, there's actually going to be a Kohala Film Festival, and they're going to talk about the post-plantation, the 1975 to currently. And on Monday, they're going to have Kohala's future. So I encourage everybody to come on down. Remember also that starting Tuesday, July 7th at 10 o'clock, we're going to have a soft opening for live programming from 10 till noon, Monday through Saturday. So on Tuesday, you can listen to Carl T., and he's going to have Riding Home, a group of music, different kinds of music and talk and stuff. So that should be interesting, Riding Home on Tuesdays. Then on Wednesday, we've got Women's Voices, and that will be a program. That would be very good, specializing in women's music and stuff of that nature, especially Kohala with Isla. And then on Thursdays, we've got Eco, and that's going to be with Holly and Eco Talk. And then from 10 to 11, we're going to have Riding Home with Swap Shop. So it's going to be Carl T. and yours truly, a little bit of music and Swap Shop. So, and Fridays, from 10 to 12, again, Carl T. will be doing Riding Home, his brand of music. And then on Saturdays, again, Swap Shop from 10 to 12. And we'll buy, sell, trade, anything that you want. It's your classified on-air radio show where you can call in and sell all your items. Okay. Again, you're listening to KNKR, LP 96.1, Kohala Radio. And we're probably not going to have any more interviews, not until the next interview will be after 2 o'clock. We're going to repeat the show at noon so that if you missed any portion of the great interviews with Christina Santiago or Larry Conda or Rosemarie Camacho or any of these others, please listen again and you'll be able to relive it. Let's see, the Kohala Film Festival, that's taking place Sunday, Sunday, July 5th, from 3 to 6 p.m. It's going to be at the Kohala Intergenerational Center, so that's right behind the gym here. And featured will be films produced by amateur and professional Kohala filmmakers, films depicting topics related to Kohala. So that's going to be Sunday. They're going to have a bunch of different movies. 30-minute film, The Olympic Journey, by follows Kohala's Olympian from his birth in Kohala to his race at the Beijing Olympics. At around 4, a newer version is going to be shown, We the People. It's the story of a group of Kohala people struggling to maintain the Kohala lifestyle against corporate giants. Following We the People, be another movie. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, so you can call Jeff Coakley at 987 2298 for more information.